Hey guys, welcome back to the podcast. Today is another fun episode because we're together.
Yay!
Woohoo! In person.
She
Instead
texted
of
me and
spirit.
said, put the kettle on.
I did. I literally said that.
Literally.
And I said, please tell me you have caffeinated tea because my mom does not have any. So grab a cup of something yummy, preferably caffeinated, and let's get going. So my bookish question for this episode is, what is the most controversial, like, you feel victimized by reading for this year? So for 2023.
Okay, let's get into it. So I went back on my Goodreads and, when you read so many books, you forget sometimes. Oh,
That sounds so braggy.
then you go back. I don't mean it like that, but I mean, you go back and you're like, oh, so I just did that. Okay, so I went to the beginning of the year of the books I read, and the third book of the year that I read was, y'all, Spare by Prince Harry. Okay,
Who's
and I
that?
listen. That's good. That was a good one. Okay, so Prince Harry, his book Spare. Okay.
Oh, with an English accent.
Well, you do know I listened to the audio, and he reads it.
Does he really?
I'm the Spare.
Oh, does he say that?
He does. He says,
Like, repeatedly?
well, I mean, he doesn't say I'm the Spare, but he uses the word.
Well, he probably sounds actually more English
He
than
actually
he
does. Yeah.
Anyways. Okay.
Anyways, I gave this one 1 star.
Ooh.
1 star. If I could have given it 0, it would have been 0. Just because he's so, like, I'm sitting here staring at my phone and he's, I don't know. He's just such a victim. He's so,
yeah.
everything is like everybody else's fault. No ownership for your own actions. And I'm not saying definitely there are things in his life that he was a victim of.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that you get to be a victim
Indefinitely.
in every situation. Yeah. And I just don't like how he has thrown his family under the bus. And yeah. And then there's a particular chapter, which did you read it?
No, you said how much you hated it. And I was like, that's good for me.
Okay. So he has this whole chapter, guys, where he's talking about his parts. Okay. And it's just gross. Like,
Yeah.
why?
Yeah.
If you've seen anything online about the book, I'm sure you've heard about that part of the book. But and then just to hear him reading it on the audio, it's just,
Does he sound super smug or something? Like,
he sounds like Harry. I mean, I don't know. We listened to something recently and I'm like, this guy sounds like Prince Harry. I cannot remember what it was. But anyways, he reads it very well. And I can listen to a British accent all day long. But just the writing in the book and there were just some weird things. And I'm not on the Prince Harry Meghan Markle train. In case y'all hadn't figured that out.
Yeah.
I'm just not on that.
I'm really surprised she hasn't had a book come out. I'm sure it's in the works.
I don't know. I think this one might have done them in because I personally do.
I just remember it
people
being
fell for
so
it.
big. Like, didn't it? Like, it was huge release.
Yeah.
People were buying that book like crazy.
Yeah.
But I never really heard, besides you saying, I don't really know what the reception was of it.
It would be interesting to see.
Yeah.
Like, actually how well it did. But I don't think people like the whole, let me throw my whole family under the bus and keep running them down in the ground. And also you don't mess with Kate.
Elizabeth?
You don't mess with Kate. And you don't mess with
the
queen.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Okay. And I just thought it was disrespectful.
And they trash Kate a lot in that?
It's not like he trashed, but he wasn't very respectful, I don't feel like.
Okay. Okay, so are you done with that one?
I'm done with Spare. I could go on and on, but
we try to be respectful of time when we can.
It's true.
Okay, well, so now my train is the one that I feel personally victimized by is Cloud Cuckoo Land.
Which is recent for her, okay? Like,
which
she just
was,
read
yes, just the other day. And I feel like I was duped because I get a picture from Raven saying, you have to get this book. And I was like, oh, totally. Because it is the guy that wrote All the Light We Cannot See. So I assumed you were saying that it was super good. Come to find out later that she was just wanting me to read it when you knew that I wasn't going to like it. So that's how I feel victimized.
Okay. Well,
she tricked me into it. So then I read it, and it has 5.5 perspectives. And I say 0.5 because there's like this story that's going on as like a total side story.
It's like whatever. Folklore,
whatever you want to call it. Okay, so there are 5 perspectives. 5.
Guys, there were 5.
Did you know how many there were? 5. And there was like nothing made sense until the last quarter of the book, like of how these all stories tied together, which I'm fine with. Whatever, that's kind of what happens in All the Light We Cannot See. It all gets revealed at the end. But this one was just so like, what? I don't even know. I don't even know how to talk about it because I didn't like it. I gave it a 2. I did not give it a 1 because and maybe I should have. I don't know. But when I was finished with it, I was like, so the reason why I didn't give it a 1, and it's probably more of like a 2.5, is because I do like his writing. He is a very talented writer.
Very good writer.
And he like wove this grand story together. Nothing felt super like unrealistic or anything like that. My problem is that each person had such a grand story. And I hated the way he wrote it as like, you would have one character for like 3 pages and then you switch to a different character and they have 3 pages. And then like, you're never with a character long enough. So I felt like I was constantly working to like bank the story so that I would remember it for the whole next time that I come around to it 4 stories later. It was annoying. And I found myself like, I didn't want to pick it up. I made myself finish it. And if you hadn't told me that you liked it so much, I definitely would not have finished it.
Well, and I told you to keep going.
You did, because I was like, this is the weirdest. And I kept thinking like, I'm shocked that you liked it so much.
I just liked it for the same reason. I think I liked Beartown because there's so many, this is what we were talking about in the episode before, is I love how he somehow takes all of these different perspectives and like weaves them. And you know that at the end, it's all going to come together.
See,
and you can't predict it either.
Yeah.
Like, I don't like being able to predict.
Yeah.
So I think that's why I like that.
Yeah. You definitely have no idea what's happening. Why are these people tied together? I think I pulled you several times. Like, I don't understand what's happening. But I think what frustrated me was the fact that all of these stories were so large that he had to spend a lot of time kind of building up the stories. I mean, it is not a small book.
Yeah.
But the way he wrote it, I did not like, give me a chapter so that I'm going to be able to retain it. Not the flipping every 3 pages. I mean, it's literally every 3 pages.
Well, you're definitely not alone in that. If you look in the reviews, there's a lot of people.
I feel like it's either you like it or you don't.
Yeah.
So if you decide to read it, know that going in, because we're 50-50 over here. I would not recommend that book. And you totally would.
Liked the challenge of it. I liked the challenge of having to like keep up with what was happening. And I think I told you this early on. I was like, don't get caught up in all the details. Like, just keep reading.
Yes, because he is.
There's a lot of details.
Yeah, I've seen reviews on All the Light We Cannot See that he's one of those writers who's very flowery in his language of descriptions and stuff like that. So you can get lost in the weeds of that a little bit.
Yeah.
But that's not even what bothered me. It was the trying to keep up with each story. And the stories were so big. Like we're talking about there's
time. Like there's lots of time jumps. There's
2 people happening in the Constantinople time period. Can't remember, was it 500s?
Then two different
characters happening in like 500 AD. Then you jump to like now time, and there's 2 characters taking place
like 2020.
Kind of, yes, but they flash back too to like earlier times
in Vietnam.
Yes, and then you have in Korea. And then you have a girl in space.
Yeah, in the future.
I can't
like
remember what
2050 or something, or
2050 doesn't sound right, but maybe.
not
Maybe it
2050,
was.
but
No,
it was
it
like
couldn't have
20.
been.
It was like way off in the future.
Yes.
We'll just say it that way.
Yes. And like on a spaceship. And you're like, what? How does this have anything to do with anything? And then you have the folklore story thrown in.
Yeah.
Like there was just a lot going on. I feel like Beartown, you had everybody lived in the same town. You were kind of
and the
just seeing
timeline
different
was the time
perspectives
frame.
of the same story.
Yeah.
Like everybody kind of had their own things going on, but mostly it's all happening in this one
Yeah.
place. This was crazy. I don't know that I've read a book that compares to this. Like, have you?
No.
I can't think of any.
I don't think so.
So if you want the challenge, go for it.
Go for it.
But
I say go for it.
it is
Rachel's
really...
saying go for it. I'm saying
it's my sarcastic voice, yes. But you could just know that it's going to be really... It was just a lot. And maybe if I reread it, I don't know. Because I did like, and that's why I gave it a 2. I like how he did tie everything together. I didn't like the journey of reading that book. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay, so
for sure.
For this episode, we thought we would recap 2023, books that we have read, and kind of just honorable mentions along the way.
Yeah.
So, do you want to go first? Do you have one?
Okay, so I have a nonfiction book that was good. It was Friendish by Kelly Needham. And that one was really, it's called Friendish, Reclaiming Real Friendship. Reclaiming Real Friendship in a Culture of Confusion. Sorry.
You got it.
I cut it off. I enjoyed this book because it just reminded me where the focus should be. And in our friendships and in our relationships in life. So that's a nonfiction mention. And then I will say that this year I also read Animal Farm.
I did
for
too.
the first time. You did too?
Yeah.
Wait, did we?
No, I read
towards
that
the beginning of the year
for school. Well, maybe, but
okay. Anyways, I found that very interesting. I had never read it, so I really enjoyed that one, and I would highly recommend everyone read that book.
So I have a nonfiction to throw in there from the beginning of the year. Doing Life with Your Adult Children. Keep your mouth shut and welcome Matt out. And this one's kind of hit or miss too. I've recommended it to some people and they didn't really care for it. But I found it, and maybe it's just a season of life. Like I just needed some encouragement because I have older kids who are getting ready to leave. And I will tell you, I feel like it's a time in parenting where people don't talk about, like you talk about terrible twos and junior high and teenagers and all that kind of stuff. But nobody really talks about when your kids leave and transitioning to like a cheerleader instead of, being the one who's running the show basically.
Yeah.
And I just found this kind of very helpful to get me ready. I wouldn't say it's like, some stellar whatever. I think I did give it a 5, but for me, it was what I needed to hear in a season that I needed to hear it in. It was a good book at a good time.
Yeah. I read that one. I think I read that one this year. I just don't remember. It's not.
I think I told a lot of people to read it, especially with older kids.
Yeah. Another one, I'm trying to find one that I found there was a funny one by Lauren Graham. It's called Have I Told You This Already? And if you listen to the audiobook, she reads it, and I love it when funny people read their own books. This wasn't one of her funniest ones, but
I've never read one of her books.
Oh, but you should listen to the audio of the other one.
Isn't like talking too fast or something like that? Yeah,
it's funny, and it's hard to keep up with her banter.
Yeah,
but I don't know, she's just funny.
I very much think that she is the character from
I totally do.
Yeah.
I'm like, you are totally.
I wonder if that's because of like the time in her life when she was doing that. Like she ended up taking on some of those
I don't know.
characteristics, or if that like really was her and she just put them into
She's a really cool person. I think she has a really she talked about this in one of her books, but she has a really hard line on what she will do and will not do. in her
Oh,
characters.
and playing characters. Oh, interesting.
So she's suffered. I mean, she's not gotten things because of that.
Wow.
You know, she's had to turn things down.
That's interesting. I think we should mention the fun fact of that people think that you look like Rory.
I don't think so anymore. But yes, when I was a teenager, I never even watched the show. I didn't know who these people were talking about. But yeah, I would get stopped and asked. Like one time now, mind you, I grew up in a podunk town. Okay.
Oh, you need to define what podunk means.
It's like
for those non-country
it's a very, very small town. Yeah. And it's one of those towns where, I don't know, McDonald's is the thing, right?
Yeah. You go hang out in the
parking lot. Or Pizza Hut. A Pizza Hut, right? Yes. Like if you had a Pizza Hut. We did have a Pizza Hut. But anyways, yeah, we would, one time we were in there. The story is, one time we were in there after church. First of all, I definitely did not look like Rory. But
like coming from church?
Or coming from church. And specifically my church. And the people behind the counter were like whispering and acting weird. And then they like asked me if I was Rory Gilmore. First of all, why are you asking if I'm Rory Gilmore?
That's a fictional person. Yeah.
Alexis Bledel. I think one of them actually ended up saying Alexis. And I was like, I don't even know who that is. Oh. But I did get that a few times in my life.
I think that's a fun tidbit.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
I don't look like her now.
I think you do. I think you look like her grown up now. Like she's our age.
You think so?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So we're both just sitting here scrolling through our Goodreads.
Yeah.
But I remember another one that we very much were like not on the same page with, and that was The Harbinger.
I was not all together on that train. Wait.
So that is that how you say it? A harbinger?
The Harbinger, yeah.
The ancient mystery.
That what did you give it?
That
1?
holds the secret of America's future. I gave it a 1.
I gave it 3.
Okay.
It was interesting.
So it's basically like, can you sum up that book? What it is? It's basically like taking prophecies.
Yeah.
And like inserting America into these like biblical prophecies and saying like, that's something bad.
Right.
Like trying to predict things because America.
What do they call that? Replacement theology?
Oh, I don't even know.
Something like that. I read something about that today. Anyways, it was interesting. Now, I didn't buy all the stuff because, let's see, wasn't a fan. This was my review, guys. Which this was June. This might be before I reformed my my rating system. Wasn't a fan of the style of writing, which is true. I did not like the style of writing. But I found the information thought-provoking.
I left a paragraph review. And it says, I gave it 1 star because honestly, I would have DNF'd it, but a friend asked me to read it, so I finished it.
I'm the friend.
There are so many problems with this book. The writing is so bad. I don't even need to finish that, but I just thought it was hilarious that one popped up. You know, another one that I feel like is kind of, like, I think we both really liked it, but it's not well known, is Daddy Longlegs.
Did I read it?
Yeah. I know you did because we talked about it. It's
oh, wait a second.
Jen, didn't you?
I'm
trying to look and see if you.
This is the great thing about reading with friends because then you could say, "Well, what month did we read it?"
You didn't read it.
I thought I did. Oh,
no, you didn't.
You did.
Oh no. Okay, so Daddy Longlegs for those like it would totally be like a Dear what's that one Dear Mr. Knightley. It is Dear Mr. Knightley, but just an older version. And she's writing letters, so she calls him Daddy Longlegs. Writing letters to this like benefactor who's putting her through school. So I really liked that one. I gave it 4 stars. I was gonna say that I read The Thursday Murder Club. I don't think I talked about it on the podcast yet. It's obviously a murder mystery, but it's very popular in the murder mystery world.
Really?
Like, yeah. So
if that's your thing.
it takes place at a nursing home. And it's these I mean it's funny. I just only read the first one. It kind of drags on a little long. Like if they would have chopped off maybe 50, 100 pages, it would have been like I would have really liked it. But you actually
15 if they would have cut off 1,500 pages?
No, 50.
Oh, goodness. I was like, wow, what is this?
It is not that big of a book. But it just kind of like they could have just shortened it. But
Gotcha.
it doesn't feel like a regular mystery because you're getting to know these like characters that don't have anything to do with the actual mystery that they're solving. So basically a cop comes to them with a cold case and they like form this murder mystery club on Thursday and they try to solve it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't read that. What did you rate it?
A 3. But if you like murder mystery, you'd probably really, really like it. But my mom read it and she kind of thought the same thing. Like it was just a little too long. But I wonder if the next ones, because people that read this are very faithful to the whole series. There's like 5 out now. So I wonder if it just builds.
I just can't get on the mystery.
But this one might be different because, like I said, you're not spending time with the suspicious people.
Mm-hmm.
You're just spending time with old people that are trying to solve the thing.
Okay. So. I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to jump on this one. Okay. When I read this year, I like to read Wendell Berry.
You've told us.
I really like him a lot. It's just a slow pace book.
Did you discover him this year?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
No. But yeah, I read Hannah Coulter. Okay, so this is a book I've talked about. I do remember talking about. What's another book here? Tough by Terry Crews. If y'all know Terry Crews.
Oh, did you do the audio? Did he read it?
I did do the audio. Oh, no. I think I actually read this.
Oh, okay. Maybe. I wonder if he reads the audio.
But fun story, Katie and I went and visited Lakewood a few months back because she wanted to go visit Lakewood Church. And he was the guest there. Very interesting.
Oh, I remember you saying
and I had just read his book, so that was
so
kind of weird. Okay, let's talk about a book that I just really loved, and that was The Last Green Valley. I think we've talked about that on this podcast. I feel like these are all my high points here.
We've already talked about. So one that I have never read before, and I'm embarrassed to say that, is To Kill a Mockingbird.
Oh, yeah.
I read that for the first time this year.
Yeah.
And there is language in that that's not appropriate. But I will say, I really, like, I am surprised at how much I enjoyed that book. Like, the story was good. The characters were good. Have you ever read the sequel thing that she did? What is it? To Kill a Watchman?
I did Go Set the Watchman.
Yeah.
And I did read it, and it was not as good.
See, that's what I've heard. So I didn't.
Because I feel like they
pushed
that on her versus To Kill a Mockingbird was like,
yeah,
her thing, right?
Yeah. It was so well done.
Yeah. And yeah, I felt like there was a little bit of agenda in the Go Set the Watchman.
Oh, okay.
Did not appreciate that. Okay. If I'm remembering that correctly. Okay. Well, another one I read, which I love the book Rebecca, which is one, I don't think you liked it. Did you like it?
I think it was okay. I definitely didn't like it as much as you did.
Yeah,
did you ever read My Cousin Rachel?
I'm reading it. I mean, I read it. That's what I was going to talk about. So I read this one and I'm looking at
that one was way more crazy than Rebecca.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy.
Yeah.
It's Daphne du Maurier. Let me see if I can say her name right. But I gave this one 4, and this is what I wrote. And I read this back in May. Did not like the ending, but I feel like I never liked Demur's endings. I do like her books, but I don't necessarily like her endings.
Well, they're definitely not going to end on a high note.
No, and it's not ever going to be.
And you know what I think is interesting is people put her in the like category as like gothic.
Yeah, I would.
You would?
Yeah, it has the same feel as like Jane Eyre, and
do you think so?
Yeah, a little less depressing, but yeah.
It doesn't feel like that dark kind of like whatever.
Oh, for me, it's totally dark.
Really?
Yeah. It's like foggy.
So did you watch the movie that they did on Netflix?
No. Because I don't know why. I think I tried to watch Jane Eyre one time. This is
Oh.
and I don't know. I have this thing where I create the whole world in my head, and it's really hard for me to watch movies, especially if it's a book that I really enjoy. So no, I did not watch Rebecca.
What's really interesting is that they did My Cousin Rachel, and it's got I'm not gonna remember her name. The chick, is it Rachel Wise? The girl that was in The Mummy.
I don't know what that is.
Okay. So and the guy that played Finnick in Hunger
Hunger
Games. Totally can't, like, I know they're fake characters. I don't know what their real names are. But that one was pretty, like, so it's pretty faithful to the book. So that one was My Cousin Rachel. And then they redid Rebecca with
yeah, I don't know who. I know.
Yeah, I don't know what she was from the Guernsey Literary Potato Field Pie Society. I can tell you all the other movies that they're in, but not what their actual name is.
I know who you're talking about.
But did you watch that one, Rebecca?
No.
Okay, I felt like that one was pretty faithful to the book. So you might
know.
be surprised.
I like what I.
Okay, she's not a movie person.
I don't want people messing with what my world is, and
Anyways,
okay. Well, fun side note, like, do you do this when you are reading a book? So I don't know how to describe
like,
this.
do you picture it?
Like, do you create the whole world in your head? And so when you go back, like if you reread, it's like I'm going back to Jane Eyre's
the
house,
movie you created.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
and like, you
think
know
it's
where
interesting.
everything's at, you know where the worlds are at. I mean, like the rooms are at, you know where it's kind of weird.
I didn't know that everybody didn't do that. So, but I read an article that was like, some people do this and some people don't.
It's very specific too. Like the way that the drive is up the road or whatever.
Yeah.
When she gets like stranded in the Jane Eyre, when she gets stranded.
Yeah.
I'm talking about in the book, not the movie, but like, it's, I don't know. It's very, very interesting for me. I don't know. Yeah. So I don't like my world's messed up.
Good to know.
Okay. A reread for me was The Help. Of course, I gave that 5 stars. I love that book. What else? We both read Blue Castle.
I was letting
we've talked about that.
Yes. I was letting you take the reign because you did way more books than me.
Well, okay, here's another one that we didn't necessarily agree on. The Extraordinary Deaths of Mrs. Kipp.
Yeah.
What did you put? I gave it 5 stars. I thought it was sweet. You gave it 3. Rachel's review. I found this book to be rather slow and hallmarky.
Which is totally, I made it that
at times.
I feel so bad not really liking that as much as I wanted to. I wanted to really love it. It just felt very predictable and it was like over the top. Like, I think I said I got a little emotional at the end because it did hit a little close to home.
Yeah.
But not forced, but like staged. Like, it didn't feel like the people that were acting and saying things, it didn't feel like that would be really what somebody would say or do. It felt kind of just orchestrated.
Okay, so another nonfiction book that I read this year is a reread for me. I've read it a few times. Is For the Children's Sake by Susan Schaefer Macaulay. And that is like a homeschool book, but not necessarily a homeschool book. It's really just about the way children learn and how to create an atmosphere, I think, for kids from a young age, and how to think of children
So you would recommend it for younger mom, like
for especially if you're just really interested in learning a different way of thinking about children. It's really good, and it really changed my whole perspective when I first started thinking about homeschooling.
Okay.
So that one's a good one. I gave it 5 stars.
Speaking of that, and this is not on my list, but I don't know if we've talked about Teaching from Rest.
Yeah.
Have we talked about that book?
I feel like we did.
Maybe. But that needs to go along with that one. Sarah McKenzie, Teaching from Rest.
And that one's a little bit shorter and a lot more condensed, and so it's a really easy...
There's people that read that one every year just to remind yourself, like, it doesn't have to be this rigid thing. But if you homeschool and you haven't read that book, you need to read that stop and read that book. Every homeschooler should read Teaching from Rest.
That's a good one.
Okay, off my soapbox. The last one that I was going to talk about is The Witch of Blackbird Pond.
Yeah,
so
that one's good.
This is like a classic that I had never read again, but read it for school, and I loved it.
I did too.
I loved it, and I was shocked because I was like, oh, like, I don't know if I'm going to like this. And it starts out a little bumpy, but I gave it 5 stars. I loved it. My daughter read it. She loved it.
Yeah. So I read it after you said to read it. And then I decided to do that as a read aloud with the kids. And they all loved it.
I don't know anybody that doesn't like it.
Yeah.
It's not, I mean, it is, I would say like middle grade reader or whatever, but it doesn't, like, I wasn't, besides the first little bit, because she's kind of annoying in the beginning. But once the story gets going, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And I'm not big middle grade reader person on my own. I've done them with the kids, but I'm not going to naturally pick that up as a personal book.
Right.
But I really liked that one.
It's really good. Who is the author on that one again?
Elizabeth George Spear.
Yes.
Spear. Yeah.
I'm trying to think if she wrote something else that I've read, but I can't think of anything.
Let's see what else she's written. The Sign of the Beaver.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we read that one.
The Bronze Bow.
Oh, we've read a lot of her books apparently. Yeah, and The Bronze Bow is really good. Okay. What is another one that I read? Let's see if I can find one that's a little bit.
What do you think your favorite of the year was?
Oh, my favorite of the year?
I don't know if I could answer
I feel
that.
like it's probably going to be like The Last Green Valley.
Mm-hmm.
I really loved that one. Yeah, I don't know. I would probably say The Last Green Valley. Now that I'm like just scanning through here, I really loved that book.
Mm-hmm.
Emily of New Moon was good. I wouldn't say that was my favorite, but I gave that one 5 stars. Of course, it's Ellen Montgomery, so how can you go wrong?
I was going to say, I think for me, reading all of the Anne books is probably my, of the year.
That's a big accomplishment. N or M, okay, Agatha Christie. This was one that I didn't like. Someone recommended it to me, and I asked for how can I get into Agatha Christie? And they said, well, what kind of books do you like? And I said, World War II, like historical fiction. They said, N or M. You have to read N or M.
I DNF'd it.
I know.
Yeah.
It was just, what I just determined, I think we already talked about this, about the whole mystery thing, is I can't get into those.
But you saying like it's about like a whole bunch of characters that you don't get to know and whatever, as soon as you said that, I was like, yes, that's why I don't like them.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you can't invest in with them.
And I think that's like, I want to be a person who reads a lot of diverse genres, but sometimes I realize why I don't read a certain genre, and it's because I can't get into them.
Yeah, but I think both of us will try.
We will give it
and
a
I'll
good
probably try another mystery again, probably come back to determine, this is why I don't.
I remember.
I remember now. Yeah. But maybe one day it'll hit and it'll take off, I guess. I'm not a fantasy person either, but I have enjoyed some fantasy.
Yeah, I'm definitely. See, I feel like I could do fantasy, I could do sci-fi, I can even do suspense and that kind of stuff. But mystery is just like, that is the lowest thing on the totem pole for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we were going to talk about what our goals are for next year. Loose goals.
Okay.
This is what the question should be. Do you make like a TBR, which is to be read? Because there are people on YouTube, I mean, like every month they do like a to be read pile. I kind of don't enjoy those because I'm like, I don't want to hear what you're going to read. I want to hear if you read it and if you actually liked it. I do get some interesting ideas off of those, but I would rather hear you talk about why you liked it or didn't like it. But do you plan out things?
No, I don't. I guess maybe very loosely I do. Like if I know, I try to read a classic every year. I try to reread a book every year. I mean, and that's probably the extent of my TBR planning.
Well, and like Dickens in December and
Yeah.
like those kinds of things. Yes.
Yeah, but
not
I don't
like a
always specifically know what exactly that book is going to be. I just know in December it's going to be something from Dickens.
right.
So my goals, no, I don't plan out my TBR. I don't know. I fly by the seat of my pants when it comes to my TBR. I mean, honestly, I don't have, I mean, even with Goodreads and books that I want to read, I forget to go in there and look because
I know you'll see something that grabs your attention and
but I've got 559 books that I want to read
only
on my TBR.
I have
That's just the ones that
surpassed
I've
1,000.
That's just the ones I've added.
Yeah.
But I forget
That they're there.
to go and check them. Yeah. So my goals this year, I feel like this is always a goal. We always talk about this, but doing more physical reading.
I feel like you did really well with that this year, though.
Yeah, but even the ones where I physically read, I would get the audio to just help me along.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times at night, if I'm tired,
yeah,
I don't want to fall asleep halfway down one page.
Right.
I would like to make it.
Or have a book hit you in the face. That's always fun. Yeah.
So, and then I'm always multitasking. So I don't know.
I do feel like I am able to read the amount of books that I read because I listen to so many audiobooks.
Yeah.
But I do, every year we make this, it's like losing weight. Every year we make this resolution of like, we're going to read more physical books. And I never stick to that.
Yeah.
It goes out the window so quick. Like I really would love to do like one physical book, at least one physical book a month.
That's a good goal.
Yeah. So that might be what mine is for 2024.
Yeah. I like that goal. I would say I just want to read more.
How can you say
books.
that? Oh, okay. I thought you meant just in general. Because tell the people, you went over 100 books this year. For 2023, you went over 100 books.
I don't even know where I'm at. Hang on. I am.
So
I just crossed the 100 books.
So for those that don't know, on Goodreads, you can go in and set a goal for the year. It normally updates. We're the nerdy people that wait for it to update at midnight.
And then we go to bed.
And then we set our books for the next year and go to bed. But it will let you set a goal for the year. And then you just go in and keep track of like, I read this book, and it sets it for you. And so you can keep track that way of knowing how many books you've read and see if you're meeting the goal. It'll tell you even too, like how many books you need to read a month to get there.
Yeah. And it gives you a percentage. So I'm currently 166%.
So I'm curious to see, there have been years where I've done 90, where I've done 80. I've slowly like knocked down from that. So I set my goal for 60 this year and I went over that.
Yeah.
But what are you going to do for next year? Have you decided?
I don't know. I feel like I'm just going to keep it at 60.
Okay. Not get crazy. I would love 1 year to do 100 just to say it was so annoying to get to 90. And like I barely made 90 the year that I got 90. No, I'm saying like I would love to read 100.
Oh, okay.
Like as an accomplishment one day. I feel like you should get a prize.
I feel like I should. It's going to be the confetti at midnight on New Year's. No, I don't want to set my goal very high because it's very satisfying surpassing that goal. Yeah. But like I didn't realize that I was that 40 books above my goal. It's just I didn't plan it that way. It just happened.
Well, and I think we've talked about like this before in previous years of setting a high goal and then feeling like I'm constantly like, oh, I've got to read. Like the pressure of reading so that you get to the goal. You can go in and change it, but you know.
But who does that? Who sets a goal and then goes and changes it? Yeah, I am excited that I exceeded it. I didn't plan it, but
I would encourage people, if you haven't made a Goodreads account, you should make one.
Yeah.
And then
it's very motivating.
Set a goal of reading one book a month or one book every other month or whatever. 5 books for the year if you're not a reader. And see that you meet that goal. And you'll be inspired to read more. Yeah. For the next year, you know. Use it as a tool.
Start with small goals, yeah.
Yes.
And
I know, because I don't think we realize how much, especially when you're doing audiobooks and whatever, if you're intentional about it, you can really get through a lot of books because you're doing chores or you're driving or whatever. See, that's my problem. If I had to physically read a book, I would not get very many done because I don't have that kind of time.
Right. Yeah.
But I can listen to a lot of audiobooks.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. 26 hours on Harry Potter.
For one book.
For one book.
Yeah. Such a trooper. Such a trooper.
So the exciting thing too about Goodreads is at the end of the year, when it celebrates how many you read, it also breaks down your longest book, your shortest book, how many words and all of that. It's really, I mean, if you're a nerd, like us, we think that's really cool.
Yeah. There's another app, and I can't remember what it's called, that makes like a pretty graph and breaks it down even further.
What was that called?
I don't know, but you have to like go in and intentionally put the books in both apps, and I just don't do that. So mine.
Yeah, my default is Goodreads, so I'm not gonna like do that in two places. I think that other platform was fairly new when we looked at it.
Yeah, it wasn't as well. Not that Goodreads.
Something
super,
graphs.
Yeah,
like graphs or something.
There's a lot of kinks with Goodreads. Like, somebody should really revamp it and make it like amazing.
Well, there is another app that a lot of people are talking about. I don't think I want to jump ship right now, but Fabled. I think it's called Fabled or something. If y'all know anything about Fabled, let us know.
I haven't heard of that.
It's called Fabled, and it's for that whole thing. Like, if you're tired of, not that we're knocking you, Goodreads. Obviously, we love you. You could sponsor us. That would be great.
I don't think they sponsor anybody, but yeah, it's not super user friendly, I feel like, and it's very basic.
Yeah, which I don't know. I feel like I am basic, so I like the simplicity of it. But you're right, it does have a lot of like little kinks. All right, guys, we've come to the end of another episode. I am not looking across the table at Rachel right now.
This is the last one of the year.
Is it? This is our final episode of the year
of 2023.
Wow, I feel like that deserves like a cheers or something like that.
Okay, here we go.
Clip that audio. Okay. We're so glad you guys have joined us. Thanks for being along on the ride that is our podcast. It's so much fun getting together and hanging out and talking about nerdy things like books. Yeah, they're our passion. So we will catch you guys next year.
Yeah, 2024.
Woohoo!
Bye.